Impoverished pragmatics. The semantics-pragmatics interface from an intercultural perspective, István Kecskés. The semantic-pragmatic interface debate is about how much actual situational context the linguistic signs need in order for them to be meaningful in the communicative process. There is evidence that interlocutors in intercultural interactions rely more. Some of the ideas in the paper are based on Chapter 6 in Kecskés 2019. On the compositional meaning of linguistic signs semantics than contextually supported meaning pragmatics, because actual situational context cannot help pragmatic implication and interpretation the way it does in L1 communication. At the same time, in pragmatic theory there seems to be an agreement between the neo-Gricean account and the post-Gricean account on the fact that the process of implicature retrieval is context-dependent. But will this L1-based contextualism work in intercultural interactions? Is pragmatics impoverished if interlocutors can only partly rely on pragmatic enrichment coming from context and the target language? The paper argues that in fact pragmatics is invigorated rather than impoverished in intercultural communication. A new type of synchronic events-based pragmatics is co-constructed by interlocutors. Instead of relying on the existing conventions, norms, and frames of the target language, interlocutors create their own temporary frames, formulas and norms. There is pragmaticization of semantics, which is a synchronic, usually one-off phenomenon in which coded meaning, sometimes without any specific pragmatic enrichment coming from the target language, obtains temporary pragmatic status. This pragmatic enrichment happens as a result of interlocutors blending their dictionary knowledge of the linguistic code semantics with their basic interpersonal communicative skills and sometimes unusual, not necessarily target language-based pragmatic strategies that suit them very well in their attempt to achieve their communicative goals. István Kecskés was a highly influential Hungarian-born American linguist, best known for his foundational work in intercultural pragmatics. He pioneered a socio-cognitive approach that illuminated how individuals from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds communicate in a shared language, emphasizing the interplay between cognitive processes and social factors in meaning-making. István Kecskés was born in Miskolc, Hungary, on September 20, 1947. His academic journey began at Kossuth University, now Debrecen University in Hungary, where he earned an MA in English Language and Literature and Russian Language and Literature in 1972, followed by a PhD in Comparative Linguistics in 1977. He further solidified his academic credentials with a linguistics degree from the Hungarian Academy of Sciences in Budapest in 1986. After building a strong foundation in Hungary, Kecskés moved to the United States in 1989, embarking on a distinguished career that would see him become a leading figure in the field of pragmatics. István Kecskés's early work, particularly before his move to the United States in 1989, laid a strong foundation for his later, more influential contributions to intercultural pragmatics. While detailed online lists of his earliest publications in Hungarian are less readily available, his academic career in Hungary provided the groundwork for his future research. Books focusing on language teaching and computer-assisted language learning, Deva Obsudim. Talk It Over. Russian Course ebook 1985, Tankanivkiatu, which was awarded a Publisher's Prize in 1986 and had a second edition in 1989. Linguistics and Methodology in Call, co-authored with Ferenc Pap, 1986, Samak. The Use of Microcomputers in Teaching Foreign Languages 1987, Tankanivkiatu, also recognized with a Publisher's Prize in 1988. New Tendencies in Computer-Assisted Language Learning, edited with Laszlo Agax, 1989, KLTE Publications. English for Computer Users 1990, Samak. Theoretical Linguistics, Applied Linguistics, Language Teaching, co-authored with Tund Pap, 1991, TS Programirota. Early explorations of the relationship between first and second languages. While his most well-known work in this area is Foreign Language and Mother Tongue, co-authored with Tundpap, 2000, his research into the bidirectional transfer between L1 and L2 began much earlier and informed this seminal work. This book, which explored the mutual relationship between second language acquisition and native language development, was a significant early achievement that gained critical acclaim. These initial publications demonstrate Kecskés's early interests in applied linguistics, language pedagogy, and the cognitive aspects of language learning, which would later converge into his specialized focus on pragmatics and intercultural communication. His work in the late 1980s and early 1990s, particularly the collaboratively authored works with Tundpap, were pivotal in establishing his reputation for insightful research into bilingualism and language contact, setting the stage for his later conceptualization of intercultural pragmatics. A pivotal work in this transition was Foreign Language and Mother Tongue 2000, co-authored with Tundpap. This book, published by Erlbaum, was groundbreaking in its longitudinal research and detailed explanation of how the acquisition and use of a second language can influence and reshape a speaker's first language. It championed a cognitive pragmatic perspective, arguing for a common underlying conceptual base that interacts with multiple language channels, thereby demonstrating that multilingual development is a dynamic and cumulative process. This work significantly advanced the understanding of bilingual cognition and laid essential groundwork for his later pragmatic theories. Closely following this, Kecskés introduced and extensively developed the concept of situation-bound utterances (SBUs). His book, Situation-Bound Utterances in L1 and L2 2003, De Gruyter, was a landmark in this area. In it, he defined SBUs as highly conventionalized, prefabricated linguistic units whose use is strongly tied to specific, recurring communicative situations. Examples include phrases like "How are you doing?" or "Enjoy your meal." His research explored how these utterances function in both native and second languages, highlighting the challenges non-native speakers face in acquiring the cultural and pragmatic nuances of SBUs. These works, particularly Foreign Language and Mother Tongue and Situation-Bound Utterances in L1 and L2, firmly established Kecskés as a leading scholar exploring the intricate relationship between language, cognition, and culture, paving the way for his later, more comprehensive theory of intercultural pragmatics. Kecskés, I. and Lawrence Horn. 2007 Explorations in Pragmatics, Linguistic, Cognitive, and Intercultural Aspects. Berlin, New York, Mouton. Kecskés, István, and Liliana Albertazzi eds. 2007 Cognitive Aspects of Bilingualism. Heidelberg, London, Springer. Kecskés, I. 2008. Dueling Context, A Dynamic Model of Meaning. Journal of Pragmatics. Volume 40. Issue 3, 385-406. Kecskés, I. and F. Zhang. 2009 Activating, Seeking, and Creating Common Ground, A Socio-Cognitive Approach. Pragmatics and Cognition. Volume 17. Number 2, 331-355. Kecskés, I. 2010. The Paradox of Communication, A Socio-Cognitive Approach. Pragmatics and Society. Volume 1. Number 1, 50-73. Kecskés, I. 2010. Dual and Multi-Language Systems. International Journal of Multilingualism. Volume 7 Number 2, 1-19. Kecskés, I. 2010. Situation-Bound Utterances as Pragmatic Acts. Journal of Pragmatics. Volume 42. Number 11, 2889–2897. Kecskés, I and Jesus Romero Trillo. eds. 2013 Research Trends in Intercultural Pragmatics. Berlin-Boston, Mouton de Gruyter. Following his detailed work on the interplay between first and second languages and the concept of situation-bound utterances, István Kecskés moved towards consolidating his theoretical framework for understanding communication across cultures. This culminated in his highly acclaimed book, Intercultural Pragmatics 2014, Oxford University Press. This seminal monograph is widely considered the foundational text for the field of intercultural pragmatics, a domain Kecskés himself established. In it, he systematically outlines how individuals with different first languages and cultural backgrounds communicate effectively in a common language. He further develops his socio-cognitive approach, arguing that successful intercultural communication relies on a dynamic negotiation of meaning, where speakers actively construct emergent common ground in the absence of a pre-existing core common ground that is typically present in intracultural communication. The book integrates insights from various fields, including cognitive linguistics, sociolinguistics, and second language acquisition, to provide a comprehensive model for analyzing intercultural interactions. Kecskés, I 2015. Intracultural Communication and Intercultural Communication, Are They Different? International Review of Pragmatics. Volume 7, 171–194. Kecskés, I 2015. How Does Pragmatic Competence Develop in Bilinguals? International Journal of Multilingualism. Volume 12. Number 4, 419–434. Beyond his individual contributions, Kecskés has also played a crucial role as an editor of key volumes that gather diverse research within intercultural pragmatics. For instance, he co-edited Current Issues in Intercultural Pragmatics 2017 with Stavros Asimakopoulos, a collection of papers from the International Conference on Intercultural Pragmatics and Communication. Kecskés, I 2017. Context Sensitivity in Intercultural Impoliteness. Journal of Politeness Research. Volume 13. Number 1, 7–33. Kecskés, I. Robert E. Sanders and Anita Pomerantz. 2017. The Basic Interactional Competence of Language Learners. Journal of Pragmatics. Volume 124, 88–105. Kecskés, I. and M. Kerner Ludwig. 2019. Odd Structures in English as a Lingua Franca Discourse. Journal of Pragmatics. Volume 151, October 2019, pages 76–90. Kecskés, I 2019. Impoverished Pragmatics: The Semantics Pragmatics Interface from an Intercultural Perspective. Intercultural Pragmatics. Volume 16. Number 5, 489–517. Building on these insights, Kecskés then published English as a Lingua Franca, The Pragmatic Perspective 2019, Cambridge University Press. This work specifically applies his intercultural pragmatic framework to the increasingly prevalent phenomenon of English as a Lingua Franca (ELF), where English is used as a common language among speakers from diverse linguistic backgrounds, none of whom are native English speakers. The book examines the pragmatic features of ELF communication, discussing how aspects like linguistic creativity, interactional competence, and the negotiation of meaning differ in ELF contexts compared to native speaker interactions. It delves into how interlocutors in ELF navigate reduced common ground and rely more heavily on actual situational context to achieve understanding. Kecskés, I 2020. Linguistic Creativity in English as a Lingua Franca, Studies in Pragmatics. The Pragmatics Society of Japan, Volume 22, 1-13. Kecskés, I 2021. Processing Implicatures in English as a Lingua Franca Communication. Lingua. Volume 256. Kecskés, I 2021. Intercultural Communication and Our Understanding of Language. Communication. Langages. 222 pages 25-42, Publisher Paris, Armand Collin. Kecskés, István. Ed. 2022 Cambridge Handbook of Intercultural Pragmatics. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Kecskés, I 2022. The Role of Context in English as a Lingua Franca. In K. Bolton ed., The Wiley-Blackwell Encyclopedia of World Englishes. Oxford, Wiley-Blackwell. One notable ongoing area of his work involves refining the concept of common ground within his socio-cognitive framework. He has consistently argued that common ground in intercultural communication is not a static given but a dynamic, emergent construct, constantly negotiated and co-constructed by interlocutors. This is exemplified in his chapter Activating, Seeking, and Creating Common Ground, a socio-cognitive approach which appeared in the Socio-Cognitive Approach to Communication and Pragmatics Springer Verlag, 2023. This work further unpacks how speakers activate assumed shared knowledge, seek out new information, and collaboratively create common understanding in real-time interactions, especially when linguistic and cultural backgrounds differ significantly. István Kecskés, a luminary in the field of pragmatics, passed away in 2025. His death marked the end of a prolific academic career that profoundly shaped the understanding of intercultural communication. References. Welcome to István Kecskés website. www.albany.edu. Retrieved July 30, 2019. American Pragmatics Association, AMPRA. Retrieved July 30, 2019. About Us. www.collarcenter.com. Archived from the original on July 30, 2019. Retrieved July 30, 2019. Class of 2015, SUNY. www.suny.edu. Retrieved July 30, 2019. Obituary István Kecskés. Jora, Rachel, Ha, Michael 2019. Doing Pragmatics Interculturally, Cognitive, Philosophical, and Socio-Pragmatic Perspectives. Berlin, Boston, De Gruyter Mouton. ISBN 9783110543841. Lu, High January 2018. Explorations into Chinese as a Second Language. International Journal of Chinese Linguistics. 5, 167-170. doi 10.1075 S2 SID 1884124447. Key Issues in Chinese as a Second Language Research. Routledge. 2017 ISBN 978-1138960527. Kecskés, István, Son, Kofen 2017. Key Issues in Chinese as a Second Language Research, Synopsis. Routledge. ISBN 978-1138960527. Horn, Lawrence. November 5, 2013. Intercultural Pragmatics, Editorial Reviews. Sitebook, website = ignored help. Kecskés, István 2013. Intercultural Pragmatics. Oxford University Press. Pages. Editorial Reviews, Lawrence Horn, Yale University. A Career to Celebrate, University at Albany SUNY. www.albany.edu retrieved July 30, 2019. Doing Pragmatics Interculturally, Preface PDF. Intercultural Pragmatics. www.degruder.com March 1, 2004. Retrieved July 30, 2019.